Malnutrition causes over 50%, some 5 million of the avoidable child deaths in the world. Childhood malnutrition is completely treatable with existing technology. Once treated, children recover and do not relapse. Treating and preventing malnutrition is essential if child survival is to improve. Without child survival, you cannot have population control. Without population control, developing countries face impending doom and the spectre of mass starvation and destitution. I have been the Chief Executive of Valid Nutrition since January 2007. Prior to that, I had a career with Unilever spanning over 30 years, mainly as a senior finance executive working in Africa, the Middle East, UK and Ireland. This short video today is to introduce you to Valid Nutrition, an enterprising Irish humanitarian not-for-profit organisation that is run as a food business, a unique model which is at the forefront of a dramatic breakthrough in the way the world tackles malnutrition, still the most serious health problem globally. Previously, the treatment of malnutrition was medicalised in centres which were both difficult and dangerous for mothers to access. This made them unpopular and underused. Gathering sick people together in such a centralised way also promoted infection and led to poor recovery rates. The result was not enough children were reached, and when they were, their recovery rate was low and their mortality rate was high. This had little impact, but nobody had any better ideas. That was until Dr. Steve Collins came up with one. In 1999, Steve Collins was a specialist in nutrition with an MBE for his work on adult malnutrition in famines. After working for many years in emergencies, he reached the conclusion that the way humanitarian agencies operate meant that they were rarely able to assess whether or not what they were doing was effective. In response, he formed Valid International to explore and publicise evidence about what works and what does not. In 1998, a new and innovative peanut-based food to treat children became available. Steve argued that this meant that malnourished children could be treated in their homes rather than in clinics and inpatient hospital units. He called it CTC, Community-Based Therapeutic Care, a remarkably simple yet revolutionary idea that restored the treatment of malnutrition to African mothers.
I think the invention of Plumpy Nut was a key breakthrough. It's an oil-based product, there's no water in it, and so bacteria can't breed in it. And so having this perfect nutritional product that could be used safely at home really facilitated CTC.
This revolutionary approach has been developed by Valid, supported by Concern Worldwide and funded by Irish Aid. The past 4 years have seen hundreds of thousands of children treated using this model, with cure rates many times higher than previous approaches and death rates cut 5-fold. As a result, CTC is now the recommended approach for international relief agencies. Since May 2005, when it was fully endorsed by the World Health Organization and United Nations, it is increasingly being adopted as a national strategy in many of the countries most affected by malnutrition.
The revolution, and it's a real revolution that we have now, is we have something which really works. You don't change care, you don't change education, you don't change infection, you don't change public health, you just give good food to children and they change in front of your eyes. Their eyes become bright, their skin becomes shiny, they become alert, they start to smile, they put on weight, they become normal children.
Since the World Health Organization's acceptance of CTC, the demand for this highly nutritious, peanut-based ready-to-use food is escalating rapidly. Valid has pioneered the manufacturing, research and development of these innovative products. Now we are not only producing them in Africa in a highly cost-effective manner, but also investing in development of new and cheaper products for the treatment of other forms of malnutrition.
One of the main challenges for local production is cost of ingredients. The cost of milk powder has phenomenally grown up over the past 1 year, more than 3 times. So that's why it is almost 20% of the ingredients in terms of recipe ratio, but it's almost 60% of the cost.
The advice I can say to everybody who is interested in this is institutionalize the CTC program, have the highest political commitment, and make sure that the private sector is also given room to take part in the production of the product. We have 201 facilities running the CTC program. Our target is to cover the whole country. And we believe if we can do that, we'll reduce the problem to 0. And that's our target. We want 0 malnutrition in Malawi.
We want to be able to produce a whole range of ready-to-use food, both for treating severe starvation, but also for treating moderate starvation and preventing malnutrition from this factory, made locally in Malawi by local Malawi people, using ingredients grown by local Malawian farmers. Effectively, you've got a local system to address malnutrition rather than having to depend on external interventions.
Ready-to-use foods not only treat and prevent malnutrition very effectively, they also provide a vital link between nutrition and food security. Substandard agricultural practices and lack of crop diversity are major barriers to food security and greatly increase the vulnerability of people in these parts of the world. Efforts to get farmers to diversify have not been met with much success, as they are often unwilling to grow foods that they don't usually eat. But by purchasing a range of crops, Valid Nutrition provides a direct incentive to farmers to diversify their production. This is having a dramatic and powerful impact on improving food security. Valid Nutrition is a unique and revolutionary business model that combines humanitarian principles with best business practice. It's a registered Irish charity that has a board of trustees, but there are no shareholders, there are no dividend distributions, and any profits that are made have to be reinvested in the business in order for it to achieve its humanitarian aims. It is a unique and sustainable business model that is not wholly dependent on donor whims and public perception. Valid Nutrition is well on track within the next 2 to 3 years to be financially viable and self-sufficient.
Oh look, Kerrygold, there we go. Good Irish milk. 20 grams.
And how much for the Kerrygold?
40 kwacha. Wow.
In the world today, there are 300 million children with chronic malnutrition. We know that that can be prevented with just 40 grams of a high-quality food complement each day given over a period of 18 months. So this is a problem that is treatable.
However, to move this forward, Valid Nutrition need to make progress in 3 key areas. Firstly, to expand production capacity in Malawi, where we've received recently UNICEF certification and now have substantial orders. We also need to progress the collaborations we have with third-party food manufacturers to establish food plants in Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia and West Africa. And we plan that 3 of these plants will come online in 2009. Secondly, we need to continue to make good progress with our research and development programme, which is funded by Irish Aid and designed to create new and cheaper product formulations for the treatment of a broad range of malnutrition. And finally, to engage and inspire global and multinational companies to collaborate in the elimination of malnutrition.
We're convinced that the sorts of principles of food science that are in our ready-to-use foods can be used to make not just therapeutic foods, but supplementaries, complementaries that can go into the marketplace that parents can buy for their children. It'll keep them growing, keep them healthy, prevent malnutrition.
I think to date, large companies haven't really targeted the so-called bottom of the pyramid, the poorest of the poor, because I think they felt that these people just haven't got enough money to buy the kind of products they want to sell. But when you get to a really simple, low-cost nutritional supplement, The market is so big, 300 million people. If they each spend $10 a year only on a quality nutritional product, that's a market of $3 billion a year. Now that's a substantial market.
It surprises companies when they hear that an NGO and a not-for-profit humanitarian company are actually following business principles. They don't expect us to be wanting to manage costs very clearly, to be wanting to show a surplus which then gets reinvested. They see charity and business as very different. And this whole concept of a not-for-profit company, Valid Nutrition, with a humanitarian mission following best business practices, is just unusual. But it can work, it will work, it is working.
Valid Nutrition's unique business model has many advantages, but it also has clear implications, particularly in terms of funding. As a charity, Valid Nutrition doesn't have access to equity funding, and as a young company, it doesn't have the collateral assets on its balance sheet to support major lending from commercial institutions. However, until Valid Nutrition is self-sustainable, which will be within 2 to 3 years, it needs to raise funds either through donations or through loans. Valid Nutrition effectively has proven beyond any doubt that the combination of RUTF and CTC does actually work and make a dramatic impact. The business model, together with the senior management team, has the capacity to implement this in a sustainable way. The business model itself provides reassurance to donors that their money is to be used in the support of true innovation and in the elimination of malnutrition.